Get into the Putin interview. Because I got questions about Tucker Carlson's legal exposure. Ian Corzine, another great content creator, lawyer, raised some issues with the Espionage Act. And then when Putin gave him those documents at the end of the interview, I'm like, oh shit, Putin's setting him up to get whatever in America. He did this interview. It was the craziest interview ever. Because it started with 40 minutes of the history of Russia going back to...
the 8th century.
Yeah, but what's
the 8th century? I thought he was gonna. And when he started, I was like, okay, where's he gonna start? Is he gonna start with the Eastern Slavs, approximately 5th century BC, when we moved into? No, but at least he started. At least it was the 8th century.
I thought he was going to start with when that meteorite collided with the Earth and then created the moon and the Mars.
I mean, that's a bunch of the memes out there.
So here's the question: what was the purpose of that 30 minutes? Was it?
It's how his brain actually works.
Okay, so you think
to him, it's how he would explain to somebody, here's where this conflict comes from. Let's start with context. For that, we need the entire historical approach. And then we need the contemporary geopolitical approach. And then we need the economic and other ramifications and cultural import. And so that's how, if you understood Putin, all of that, you could see that coming. It was just funny for people who were first introduced to it. Because even Tucker was like, "Holy, well, where are we?" And that's where you get all the memes now of no, you don't understand. There were 3 walls at this part in Rome, or now they're doing the Lord of the Rings one. Oh, you didn't read the predecessor to the Lord of the Rings. No, you see, if you read this, you understand where the elf comes from that connects to the dwarf. Because he's a little bit of an autist when it comes to that side of it. He's obsessed with history. And its context, and it's been constantly misconstrued. Nothing better represented the Tucker interview than the bogus media stories later that said, in a Tucker interview, Putin threatens nuclear war against the world. It's totally false. Anybody who watched the interview was like, it was just the opposite. But the other reason for Putin to do the interview, other than to introduce his perspective to the West, was like, why are Americans obsessed with our border rather than your border? And he goes, don't you have better things to do, better things to spend money on? He's like, I'm not going into Europe. I'm not going into Poland. I'm not. Why in the world would I do any of these things? I'm going to Latvia. He goes, you got to be kidding me. Defending Russians in a historical part of Russia that happens to be part of Ukraine because Ukraine refused to recognize the Minsk agreement is a radically different equation. It's like Americans defending Americans in Texas from Mexico when it happened to be part of Mexico. That's the most historical analog for Americans to contextualize. And it was clear that to see Russia as a threat is ludicrous, and that this war is a waste of money and time anyway. And he presented those arguments in a persuasive way. And for all those Americans that have a caricatured view of Putin, it's hard to watch the whole interview and stick with that caricatured view.
My issue is, so this is not confession through projection. This is just like, I'm watching the first 30 minutes and I don't know Putin. This is the first time I've actually heard him speak for this long. And I'm saying it's either one, a flex, like, Tucker, you're here. You're going to listen to me meander like the way I want, and I will, and you're going to do nothing about it. Or the sports test. We used to go rock climbing. The cliffs that were further away had fewer people. It's just the nature of the beast. You have to walk longer, hike harder. You're not going to go there. Those are the ones you wanted to get to because it showed that you were really interested in hiking. And this was to tune out idiots and to test Tucker to say, look, are you actually here for a meaningful conversation?
And it was persuade him, because remember, he references that Tucker has a history background, studied history, interested in history.
Yeah, but dude, I have a minor's degree in Eastern European history. I had no idea. I'm Googling what he's saying at the time. And
but to like, Putin thinks, oh, this guy likes history. That's how I can communicate with him. That's how I can connect to him. So I've watched Putin in wide-ranging context. So some are saying it was a filibuster. Even Tucker himself said he first thought it was a filibuster.
There was no time limit.
Thought about it. He changed his mind that it wasn't a filibuster. But I've seen Putin in a whole bunch of contexts. He'll answer questions quick. He'll answer questions long. He doesn't filibuster as a routine basis. He'll answer any question for anybody, and he'll change his method of operation depending on the audience he's dealing with, and he's very effective. Like, the reason why the West quit interviewing him is because he would cross-examine him. Like, NBC was there and saying, well, look, you have your political opponents in prison. He goes, well, I can tell you what I haven't done. I haven't locked up 400 people that came into the Capitol in political protest. Tell you what I haven't done. I haven't sit there and summarily executed an unarmed political protester. That's what your country did on January 6th. So he's one of the more savvy, sharp. He needled Tucker about, man, you applied to that CIA job. It's good you didn't get it, I guess. So he's like, he's extremely well informed, knows exactly who and what Tucker is when he sits down for that kind of interview. But he clearly likes Tucker because of the close proximity. If Putin doesn't like you, there's a lot of memes out there. He likes those big tables where he forces people to sit all the way, it's like some old ancient Europe table or whatever that thing is. With Tucker, it was like 4 feet away. So he didn't dislike him or distrust him. He was going to be aggressive and push back. But it was, hey, I'm going to give you my explanation. You can, hear my perspective. Think of it whatever you want. But his CIA joke was great. He was like, Tucker's like, who blew up Nord Stream? He goes, you did. Tucker's like, no, I'm innocent. He goes, well, CIA doesn't have an alibi. You may. But he goes, why would I blow up my own pipe stream? So credit to Tucker having the cojones to do it. And he wasn't just over there for Putin. He was over there to talk to Tara Reid, who had to flee the United States because of the Biden administration harassing her over her allegations of sexual misconduct against Biden, and Edward Snowden, who's over there because during the Biden vice presidency, he and Obama targeted him for revealing America's illegal surveillance activities. He was there to talk to both of them as well. So Tucker getting fired from Fox freed him from the restraint. That's why I said it was a dumb decision by Murdoch. It's like, it tells you how Paul Ryan is so short-sighted. You want to keep a guy like Tucker Carlson in. It's the old joke. You want him inside the tent pissing out. You don't want him outside the tent pissing in. Now they got him pissing in.
Well, geez, you know what? I never heard that expression. It's a good one, but now I understand you keep your friends close and your enemies closer in terms of Tucker Carlson. Robert, what do you think? Do we know what documents Putin gave Tucker at the end of the interview?
No, there's tons of meme jokes about it. He goes, you didn't read the Lord of the Rings preview that I put in the book? I mean, you didn't see the maps from the Roman conflict of 324 that I put in the thing? So there's got 100 memes. But my guess is it's basic stuff. It'll probably be like Minsk Accords, things like that. The only other thing it may be is it may have been the peace deal that he talked about, that he was like, we got a whole peace deal done, and then Boris Johnson came and blew it up. That Ukraine conflict would have been wrapped up early, quickly. It confirms my original take that he was not looking to have an escalated, long, extended conflict, that he really didn't want to go into Kiev, that all that was a feint in order to get their attention. Hey, just sign the deal, honor the Minsk Accords, we go home. Just quit barraging the people of the Donetsk region that don't want to be even part of Ukraine and never have really been for most of their history. The speak Russian, talk Russian, are Russian. And it's like Americans in Texas during when Texas was part of Mexico. Same principle. And they have their own version of Remember the Alamo in Russia concerning Donetsk. And so dating back to the Maidan coup. Might have been additional evidence concerning the Maidan coup. But it would be Russian evidence and Russian documents and Russian information. There would be nothing illegal in obtaining it or receiving it or distributing it.
And that's so hypothetically, not that anyone has to even commit a crime to be charged with one under these hyper-political systems. What could a very malicious DOJ charge Tucker with when he comes back?
Nothing. There's nothing. There's absolutely nothing.
And on that note,
and credit to Tucker for challenging Putin to release the Wall Street Journal reporter who he says, look, whatever he was, even if he was some sort of spy, he's not a super spy. Why don't you, release him? And Putin was like, we've been nice in the past. We'll be nice when it's reciprocated.
It's an amazing thing.
It's his way of saying I got a chip. Last time I got a WNBA player and I got the Lord of War back. So, I got the Merchant of Death back.
The Merchant of Death.
So now I got a Wall Street Journal reporter. Who knows what Biden will give me.
What's left after the Merchant of Death? Let's just play this buffoon right here for about 5 seconds.
Around the world, people are watching that ludicrous interview with Vladimir Putin conducted by Tucker Carlson.
Maybe it's because I hate him now. I've never realized how ugly Boris Johnson was before this video, but I'll
And we must not fall for this tissue of lies, above all for the notion that Putin is somehow fated to succeed in Ukraine. On the contrary, he is doomed to failure. Read about it in the Daily Mail.
I've got to say one thing.
Well,
What?
basically, Bojo got exposed because he was the one who personally told Zelensky he couldn't sign the peace deal. I mean, Zelensky is just a puppet of the Western deep state, controlled by the last vestiges of empire instincts from the MI6 boys in Britain and the neocons and neoliberals in D.C. And Tucker's just exposing them piece by piece by piece by piece. And the Tucker Carlson network continues to deepen and expand its reach to levels that he never had anywhere near at Fox, not only in terms of broadcast reach, but in terms of who he's able to interview. You know, he couldn't interview Putin at Fox, couldn't interview Alex Jones at Fox, couldn't interview a wide range of people that, you know, some of the January 6 people that they ordered him fired because he was talking to. Now he can do freely. Now he can do easily without restriction or restraint. And we're seeing what unfettered independent news looks like. And a lot of people around the world are flocking to it. And it's increasing the populist persuasive argument in the American court of public opinion. And people like Boris Johnson are all over the deep state of the entire EU apparatus, the UK apparatus, and the US apparatus. And that's why we have so many nitwits, midwits in positions of power. And you know, only a stuck pig squeals, and all the pigs were squealing last week.
Oh my goodness, that was my conclusion from it. I love the expression, Robert.